Welcome back to our journey through the Romero zombie series, and today on the show, we're going to be talking about Land of the Dead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
The unburied dead are coming back to life and seeking human victims.
We don't know how many of them there are.
Do you think we'll be able to defeat these things?
We don't really know.
Land of the Dead, released in 2005, the zombie epidemic has, taken over the world, and what we find is that class systems and monetary systems somehow found a way to survive, even in the middle of the zombie apocalypse.
And moving toward the city.
There's nothing there, man.
They're communicating, they're thinking.
George A. Romero's Land of the Dead.
Zombies, man. They creep me out.
So this is like the first zombie movie that George A. Romero has made in a very long time, since Day of the Dead. I was very excited about this movie. I was really looking forward to it. I was like, George is going back to zombies? Hells yes. Let me say this out right now, because I suspect there's probably a lot of Land of the Dead fans out there, and I don't want to be pissing anybody off too much. This is my relationship with the movie. The first time I saw it, I was disappointed. I watched it again a few years later, and I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. It's just like an entertaining, kind of a popcorn zombie movie. Whatever. Then when I rewatched it for this series review, for this franchise review, after having watched the first three classics, and then watching Land of the Dead, I went back to being disappointed again. So I do have a very kind of a love-hate, complicated relationship with this movie. But let's get into this. I look at this movie, and then I look at the three original classic zombie movies from Romero, and honestly, like, no joke, I'm like, I don't believe George made this movie. I think somebody else made this movie, some studio director, and then they put George's name on it because it was a zombie movie. So a lot of time has passed since the original, so George has changed, he's grown, he's changed as a director, as a person, so I guess that explains why it doesn't feel the same, it doesn't fit in, or maybe he didn't want it to fit in. Here's something I'm confused about. Is this a continuation of the original story, or is it supposed to be it's a standalone movie? If this is a continuation, which in a way makes sense that, with the evolution of the zombie apocalypse throughout all the movies, it makes sense. It starts in night, things get worse in dawn, and then by the time day comes around, practically the whole world has been turned upside down by the whole zombie apocalypse. And so, in a way, it makes sense that eventually people would find a way to survive, find a way to build a city again, a human city, keep the zombies out, find a way to try to bring back some form of civilization with laws and classes, the rich and the poor, and they're using money again. That makes sense. Here's what doesn't make sense. If this is supposed to be a continuation of the original story, how did technology advance? Like, if shit started falling apart in the late 60s, early 70s, how, like in this movie they got like GPS systems. That means there's satellites up in the sky, like advanced technological satellites that they're using for GPS, and they got computers and all this advanced technology that, if this is a continuation of the original story, shouldn't exist. I mean, that would have been slowed down or even completely halted because of the whole zombie apocalypse. If anything, we would have reverted back to more Stone Age lifestyle. Like, those aren't even really complaints. Those are just things I'm confused about. Here are some of my complaints. For one, the movie looks too Hollywood. The lighting is always just too perfect. That's one of the things that I I have a pet peeve about when it comes to movies, especially horror movies, because horror movies can be the biggest offenders. Well, actually, they're almost always the biggest offenders of making the lighting too perfect. It looks too much like a horror movie. I like when it looks real. I don't really like when the lighting just looks like a Hollywood set, because that's what it looks like in this movie. Throughout the whole thing, it kind of has a bleak look, but it also looks like a manufactured bleak look. It doesn't really look realistically bleak, it just looks like a Hollywood set, and that bothers me. I'm a film student, so that's why I notice things like that, and that's why I would complain about things like that. A lot of average movie viewers would be like, shut up, Eric, that's nothing, who cares? But to someone who's actually in the, going to school for this stuff, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. But the acting is, no, it's not terrible. It's not great. It's really mediocre. Dennis Hopper is pretty awesome, though. Glad to see him in a zombie movie.
Watch out! Get out! Quick!
I think that, if you don't want to look too deep into it, you just want to, turn your brain off, enjoy a silly zombie movie, you'll probably enjoy it. As for me, right now, I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5 stars.
You got fucked!
Ingenious.